In the year 480 BC, the sea itself became a battlefield. On one side, an empire unleashed a fleet of more than 1,200 warships, a tide of power stretching beyond the horizon. On the other, barely 370 triremes, manned not by slaves but by citizens fighting for their very survival. The odds were impossible. It was empire against freedom, numbers against strategy, arrogance against cunning. The clash was thunder on water. Bronze rams shattered timber. Flames devoured the waves. Soldiers fell screaming into the depths. And in that chaos, history itself was rewritten. This was the day a small force defied the greatest empire on earth and turned the tide of the ancient world. In the autumn of 480 BC, the Aegean Sea became the stage for a battle that would decide the destiny of the Western world. The Persian Empire was unstoppable. From the mountains of Asia to the deserts of Egypt, it ruled over millions. And now King Xerxes, son of Darius the Great, marched west with the largest army and navy the ancient world had ever seen. His goal was simple: the total destruction of Greece. Athens had already been burned to ash. Sparta's warriors had fallen at Thermopylae. The once proud Greek world trembled in fear. To many, it seemed the gods themselves had abandoned them. But one man refused to kneel. His name was Themistocles, a statesman, a strategist, not a king, not a noble, but a man of vision. He believed that Greece could not be saved on land, but at sea. The Persian navy was terrifying in its scale. Ancient accounts speak of more than 1,200 warships. From the Phoenicians came massive triremes. From Egypt, swift and deadly squadrons. From Ionia, seasoned sailors bound by fear of their Persian overlords, strength in overwhelming numbers. A fleet so large it stretched across the horizon. But it was also a beast with too many heads, struggling to strike as one. The Greeks? Barely 370 triremes. Tiny in comparison, but these ships were built for speed and agility. In narrow waters, they could dance while Persian giants struggled. Their crews were not slaves, not conscripts, but citizens, fighting for their homes, their families, their freedom. And then there were the commanders. Xerxes, king of kings, sitting upon a golden throne, confident he commanded destiny itself. Yet he was no sailor. His admirals fought his war, not he. Themistocles, brilliant, ruthless, cunning. He knew Greece could not match Persia in numbers. To win, he would have to outthink the greatest empire on earth. His plan was audacious, reckless, genius. He would lure Xerxes into the straits of Salamis, a place where numbers meant nothing and maneuver meant everything, where Greek ships could slash through the enemy like daggers in the dark. This was not just a battle for territory, it was a battle for survival, for culture, for the very idea of freedom itself. And in the narrow waters of Salamis, the tide of history was about to turn. Night falls over Greece. The ruins of Athens still smolder. On the waters of Salamis, hundreds of ships drift silently at anchor. The fate of a civilization waits in the darkness. The Greeks are outnumbered 3-1. Their leaders are divided. Some argue for retreat, to abandon the fight and fall back to the Peloponnese. But Themistocles stands firm. He knows that if they scatter, if they run, all of Greece will be lost. So he chooses deception. Under the cover of darkness, Themistocles sends a secret messenger to Xerxes, a Greek slave carrying false words. The message is simple. The Greeks are frightened. They plan to flee. Strike now, and victory is yours. Xerxes believes it. Arrogance blinds him. He cannot imagine that anyone would dare to challenge his fleet. Convinced of triumph, he orders his massive navy to move. That night, the sea groans with the sound of oars. Hundreds of Persian ships close in, surrounding the straits of Salamis. They believe they are trapping the Greeks. In truth, they are sailing into the trap themselves. On the Greek side, the mood is tense. Soldiers whisper prayers to Zeus and Poseidon. Oarsmen grip their benches, waiting for dawn. Hoplites stand ready on deck with spear and shield, the air sharp with the smell of salt and fear. And yet there is fire in their eyes. They fight not for empire, not for tribute, but for their homes, their families, their freedom. Behind them lies nothing but ash. Ahead of them, everything to lose and everything to gain. As the first light of dawn spreads across the horizon, the straits of Salamis come alive. Themistocles has achieved his goal. The Persians, too many in number, are crammed into narrow waters. Their ships cannot maneuver. On a golden throne set upon the shore, Xerxes watches with pride, certain he will witness the end of Greece. But what he does not see is that the tide has already turned. The Greeks raise their war cry. The oars dip into the water. The Battle of Salamis is about to begin. Dawn breaks, and with it, war erupts. The straits of Salamis explode in thunder. Greek triremes surge forward, oars cutting the sea in perfect rhythm. From their decks, warriors cry out the ancient war chant, "Advance! Advance! Sons of Greece!" The Persian fleet charges to meet them. Great ships, towering with soldiers, crash into the narrow waters. But there is no room. Their numbers work against them. The sea becomes chaos. A Greek trireme rams headlong into a Phoenician ship. The bronze beak of its prow tears through wood, snapping timbers like bones. Persian marines tumble into the waves, screaming, dragged beneath by heavy armor. Another Greek vessel sweeps alongside an Egyptian galley. Hoplites hurl javelins and leap across, shields locking, blades flashing. On the decks, men fight hand to hand. Blood stains the planks. The clash of bronze on bronze echoes across the sea. Themistocles' plan unfolds perfectly. Greek ships dart and weave like wolves, striking, retreating, striking again. The Persians, trapped by their own vast numbers, collide with each other. Their long oars snap. Their heavy hulls grind together. The narrow strait has become a slaughterhouse. Xerxes watches from his throne. At first he smiles, but then his smile fades. He sees his proud fleet turning to ruin. A Phoenician squadron, pressed too close, crashes against an Ionian wing. Fire breaks out on the decks. Sailors leap into the water, only to be cut down by Greek arrows raining from above. Everywhere is madness. The sea churns red with blood and oil. Broken ships drift, burning, as survivors scream among the wreckage. The air is thick with smoke, the stench of fire, the cries of the dying. Still, the Greeks press on. Their smaller fleet fights as one. Every oar stroke, every maneuver is practiced, disciplined, relentless. They strike, they withdraw, they strike again, like a tide that cannot be stopped. And the Persians, once a wave of terror, begin to falter. The sea is chaos, ships crash, splinter and burn. The cries of men are drowned by the roar of battle. The Persians try to push forward. Admirals shout orders, but no one can hear them over the clash of steel and the screams of the dying. The more they press, the worse it becomes. Their ships block each other, trapped like cattle in a pen. One by one, the proud squadrons of Xerxes fall. A Phoenician flagship is rammed from both sides, its decks awash with blood before it slips beneath the waves. Egyptian galleys catch fire, their sails collapsing in sheets of flame. Themistocles drives his fleet harder. Greek triremes sweep in like hawks striking prey. They circle, ram, and withdraw, leaving wreckage behind them. The sea itself seems to fight for the Greeks. Narrow waters, hidden currents, deadly reefs, all tear at the cumbersome Persian vessels. Then comes disaster for Persia. A storm of arrows descends from Greek archers. On deck after deck, Persian soldiers fall. Leaders are cut down. Admirals are slain. Xerxes' best commanders vanish into the sea, their bodies swallowed by waves and fire. From his golden throne on the shore, Xerxes watches. At first he rages. He tears his robes, shouting at his officers. But rage turns to despair. For all his might, all his numbers, he can only watch as his empire's pride drowns before his eyes. Meanwhile, the Greeks fight like men possessed. Every strike, every cry is fueled by desperation and hope. They know there is no retreat. Behind them lies their families, their sacred temples, their entire way of life. To lose here is to lose everything. And so they do not lose. They cannot lose. The tide turns fully. The Persians are no longer an attacking force, but prey. Their ships scatter, their formations collapse, their courage broken. On this day, in these narrow straits, the greatest navy the world had ever seen is undone. Slaughter cannot be stopped. By midday, the Straits of Salamis are filled with wreckage, splintered masts, burning hulls, and the bodies of thousands. The Persians, once confident of victory, now fight only to escape. Their ships break formation, scattering in panic. Some crash into rocks, others into each other. Sailors leap into the sea, their cries lost in the roar of battle. Many drown, dragged down by their own armor. The Greeks show no mercy. They chase their enemies relentlessly. Triremes slam into retreating vessels, their bronze rams striking with deadly force. Arrows darken the sky. Hoplites storm the decks of crippled galleys, cutting down survivors. Xerxes can endure no more. From his throne, he has seen the pride of his empire shattered. Furious and humiliated, he orders his army to retreat. The invasion of Greece, meant to crush a small nation forever, ends in chaos and shame. As the sun sets, the sea still burns. Greek warriors pull exhausted comrades from the water. Survivors kneel on the decks, thanking the gods. Their eyes turn toward the shore, where families wait anxiously, and a cry of triumph rises into the heavens. This day, against impossible odds, Greece has survived. Themistocles' gamble has paid off. A handful of city-states have broken the arm of an empire. But the war is not yet over. Xerxes still holds a vast army on Greek soil. Yet after Salamis, the tide of history has shifted. The Persians will never again hold the same power over Greece. The impossible has been achieved, and the free world has lived to see another dawn. The smoke of battle drifts away, but the memory of Salamis will never fade. For Persia, the defeat is devastating. Xerxes withdraws in humiliation, abandoning his grand campaign. Though his armies remain in Greece for a time, their spirit is broken. The dream of conquering the Greek mainland is gone. The empire will endure, but its power will never again strike so deep into Europe. For Greece, the victory is a miracle. Against impossible odds, free men have stood against tyranny and prevailed. The message is clear. No empire, however vast, is invincible against those who fight for their freedom. From the ashes of Athens, a new era begins. Within decades, Greece will enter its golden age. Democracy will flourish. Philosophy will question the nature of existence. Art and drama will reach heights never before imagined. And it is Salamis that made it possible. For without this victory, there would be no Pericles, no Socrates, no Parthenon rising over Athens. Themistocles, the man who saw salvation at sea, becomes a legend. His cunning, his gamble, his unshakable will, these turned the tide of history. Even today, the story of Salamis echoes across centuries. It is more than a tale of ships and soldiers. It is a story of courage against despair, of unity in the face of annihilation, of a small people who chose to fight when surrender seemed the only option. In the narrow straits of Salamis, freedom was born anew, and the world would never be the same.